New Horizons Radio.
Bienvenidos amigos de New Horizons Radio. Nos encontramos hoy en una entrevista muy interesante con Aziel Goulandris, quien es el oficial de educación para la Federación de las Naciones Unidas y que su oficina está típicamente en Ginebra, pero que se encuentra acá en República Dominicana, promoviendo precisamente los cursos de educación que que promueve las Naciones Unidas desde su misma fundación en 1946. Esta entrevista será fundamentalmente en inglés, pero como somos un centro bilingüe, todo el público de New Horizons Radio siempre ha estado habituado a esto. Aziel, welcome to New Horizons, and this is your first time in the Dominican Republic?
No, it's my 8th time.
Your 8th time in the Dominican Republic. So I take it you have a girlfriend by now here or something?
No, but
No?
I really like the country.
Are you used to Dominican plátanos and rice and beans?
Absolutely used.
Yeah.
Mofongo too.
Mofongo too. Okay. You're originally from Greece, correct?
Correct.
Athens or somewhere else?
A little island called Andros.
From Andros. Yeah. Those islands are beautiful. All of the archipelago there is amazing.
I can't deny.
Yeah. But your office right now is in Switzerland, correct?
Geneva, Switzerland.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this, the work that you guys do and how it came about I'm assuming you're not the first person to promote these courses here in the Dominican Republic.
These particular courses, I think I am actually the first person to promote.
Oh, okay. So please describe them to us so that
So maybe
our
the
people
first
will
part of your
understand.
questions was more or less who we are. Obviously, we're an organization with a very long name, World Federation of United Nations Associations. Our federation was created, very briefly, was created in 1946, so 1 year after the creation of the United Nations, with the main objective that was to promote the ideals and the values of the United Nations, which is a bit different from promoting only the United Nations itself. So the idea was actually to have an association independent from the UN, but that can work also from within, of citizens that will draw the attention on the fact that the United Nations as an idea, as something that has to exist, is primordial, is important for world peace, world sustainability, world anything.
So
forum.
that even though we have the United Nations where everyone is supposed to go and discuss issues and problems that they might have, where they are boundary issues or migration or world famine or like right now pandemias, pandemic, a medical emergency of such, even though we have that institution that is there permanently where each state has a representation and where you have a Security Council and everything else, the World Federation of United Nations Associations is an independent branch trying to promote those ideals so that more people understand democracy, more people understand civil liberties, more people understand equality and these other ideals that UN promotes.
And also understand, and more people understand that the world is imperfect and the UN is an imperfect organization, but that it is absolutely useful if we want to have a basis for discussion.
So even when you have presidents and rulers like some of the ones we have right now that try to eliminate the UN and what the UN regulations when it comes to many ideals and areas, even climate change, that you can have actually a group of people that will oppose that and create balance.
Exactly.
Okay, so and once this was created, 1946, let's move ourselves up, 80 years to 2020? 74 years to where we are right now. How is this, what programs are you promoting, and in particular, what programs are we promoting in the Dominican Republic?
Okay, obviously the UN, and together with our organization, has changed a lot. We went through the Cold War, we went through many changes in international relations, and this has affected the situation also of how things are done, and the international issues have changed. But we take for granted that the thirst for knowledge about these issues has not changed. And therefore, I would say that 70% of our activities, or a high percentage of our activities, are linked to education. Education is one of the best ways to actually offer people the ability to have the tools to understand the issues. And I really say the tools because we do not give them the ideas ready on a plate. We give them the tools to understand by themselves the ideas, what is at stake. And the UN is a great basis for that because of the diversity, because nobody actually, very few people agree. There is no issue where there is unanimous agreement on the UN. So it's a good basis to explain that here are the tools to understand the issues. It is important to understand them. You can make up your mind. So we use education. I would say this is the majority of our programs. And then we also have other programs that, for example, you know the Security Council of the UN. That's a highlight. Most people know that, of course. Now,
Yeah, the Dominican Republic is now a non-permanent member.
Exactly. So
Temporary member.
when there is an election at the Security Council for non-permanent members, my organization has instituted what we call briefings. So we call ambassadors to actually debate on what they are going to do. This was not done before. This helps transparency, helps people to understand that is this country going to do in the Security Council. This is a typical example of what we try to do to instill in the organization.
So it's basically teaching them the ropes of what it is they should present or how they should present it, or what is the importance of them trying to participate.
I wouldn't say that we would teach the ambassadors how to, but more that we would draw the attention of the public on something that is, as of now, there was no debate. Someone was elected in the Security Council. There was no opportunity for that country to actually speak. These debates now that we organize and ambassadors participate are on live TV, on UN live TV. Everybody can watch. What is the program of the Dominican Republic for the next years to come in the Security Council? This is an example. But back to education, because we're here in the DR, and I was saying it's the first time we promote these kind of programs. We have some programs that are meant to specifically for high school and middle school students. These programs, we call them immersion weeks. So we try to partner very selectively with institutions that are like-minded as well. Like-minded meaning global citizenship, sustainability, all these topical issues that are very important and that we believe should be shared. We partner with these institutions and we try to bring students from these institutions for a week of immersion inside the United Nations. And in there, they can meet diplomats, they can meet UN staff, they can meet UN staff from their own country. Someone is born, for example, here in La Vega, did his studies in Santo Domingo, then applied, works for the UN. This person is going to talk to the students from the Dominican Republic for an hour, explaining what he does, or she does, but also explaining how he went there. So it's also by the example.
So in theory, these are courses where students participate basically for 2 weeks. 1 week in-house and 1 week in the UN.
We have different courses. There is 1 week in the UN, this is the basic one. And of course, we provide support for courses before they come. So that's the pre-course period.
Okay, but so basically your courses are curtailed to or structured for students, for a small group of a cohort of students.
20, 30 students.
You're not trying to, influence like a national curriculum or anything of that nature.
We have our associations sometimes because we're a federation of associations. For example, the Norwegian Association has an agreement with the Norwegian state and they do courses in the countries. This particular program that I was taking as an example actually tries to have small groups of people so that we can touch them more. If it's a small group.
It's more personalized, you mean?
More personalized.
But then you actually do have other initiatives that
Absolutely.
try to influence the national curriculum.
We have, for example, a program called Mission Possible, where we go in the school. It can be done for 1,000, 2,000 students. We do it in India for thousands of students. We go in the schools. We help the students learn project management and actually create projects in their environment with our support that will actually change their community, and even their country to a small extent. So we have programs for a more massive amount of students, and we also have programs for a smaller amount.
Bien, vamos a hacer una breve pausa y continuamos en breve con nuestra entrevista acá con Aziel Filipos, delegado de las Naciones Unidas, maneja la Oficina de Educación para el Fondo, para la Federación Mundial de asociaciones de las Naciones Unidas con su sede en Ginebra. Volvemos en breve.
New Horizons Radio.
Ok, volvemos, señores. Estamos acá con Aziel Goulandris de la Federación Mundial de Asociaciones de las Naciones Unidas. Él es el oficial para educación de dicha federación, con su sede en Ginebra. Quien se encuentra acá en el país, dice que ya ha visitado el país, tiene más de 7 años visitando la República Dominicana, promoviendo los cursos de educación que brinda dicha federación para tratar de mejorar la percepción y el entendimiento que tienen las personas, los ciudadanos de nuestro país y obviamente en otros países del mundo, con relación al trabajo que se desarrolla en las Naciones Unidas, la pertinencia de que exista las Naciones Unidas y de que los países participen en ella. Aziel, when we were discussing, let's say for the Dominican Republic, you said that your courses, you have courses that try to affect the national curricula, and other courses like the one you were basically describing, which are for smaller groups, because it entails not only participating here within the country, like in the school setup, like here at New Horizons, but then from here actually traveling to New York or traveling to Geneva or even Nairobi. You said that they just opened a new office over there, or South Korea, and then over there understanding the role of the ambassadors, understanding the role of the UN, and even participating with local officers if there's such in those places. I'm not sure in Nairobi we have a local officer, but it would be interesting to find out.
Dominican?
Yeah.
I think they would have.
We have one over in Nairobi.
I would think.
Well, that's news to me. I know we have way
I'm
too
not
many,
certain, but I would think they do.
I know we have way too many. Our foreign office has way too many consuls, way too many ambassadors everywhere, and a bunch of ambassadors are just here sitting idle, doing nothing and charging for it. But I'm surprised we do have one at the UN office in Nairobi. But I'm sure probably we do. My main question right now would be, in issues such as, for example, immigration. You know, the Dominican Republic is a very particular country. We are the only country in the world that shares an island, a very small island to begin with. And we share it with a country that has a very different culture, totally different language, very different habits and customs, and at the same time is 10 times poorer than we are as of right now, as of 2020. Yet we are basically the receivers of all this migration. There are other nations in the world that deal with small portions of it, like Brazil, like Chile. We have recent examples of how the Chileans have totally become unstable because of the Haitian migration over there. And I'm wondering what the UN, for example, representation, that the military branch of the UN left Haiti last year, and they picked up and left after the earthquake in 2010. And we certainly still have an immense pressure when it comes to how do we deal with the Haitian migration and how are we being helped by the UN and by the rest of the nations in the world. How does the World Federation of UN Associations help in this regard? Do you have any educational programs in Haiti? Do you have any programs to illuminate and educate the rest of the world about what's going on in Haiti? Because unfortunately, after the earthquake, Haiti is not in the news too much, you know, and they don't get enough direct foreign investment, IEDs, and at the end of the day, the Dominican Republic is bearing the load of it.
How much is the interview? Because this could go for a day, the answer to this question.
I'm sure.
But it's a very interesting question, and it's also a question that I fully understand, because I mean, global citizenship doesn't mean that we are only global citizens. We are also from our own country.
Right.
And I am from Greece, and we have a migration.
With the Syrians.
I would call it a migration problem instinctively, and as soon as I say problem, I question myself, why am I saying it's a problem? That already shows that there is some work to do there to ask ourselves,
Correct.
Is it a problem, etc. So I mean, and therefore I fully understand. Obviously, we're not an island in Greece, but just to give a perspective here, very openly also for the people that hear us, a perspective answering from another perspective of another country to what you said about we are an island, we are kind of stuck here with people that are not bad, but they are poorer, they come in masses and so on. Greece is not an island, but let me give the argument of the guy in the street. They say, we didn't colonize anyone. People that come to Greece, they want to go to Germany. When they pass by Greece, they just stop by and thousands stay. Why? Why should we suffer something? We didn't do anything in Syria. This is what the layman in Greece says.
Yeah,
and it's an understandable question from a person that just knows very good. Now, the problem with migration, I would say, is can we really do something about it the way that is the traditional way? Can we really stop the millions of people that will migrate in the next decades, maybe in the next century? There are actually many people, when you talk in the UN, they believe, ambassadors, diplomats, they believe migration is the problem of the 20th century. And it's not only the poor people who are migrating. For instance, from Africa, you have middle-class people who are migrating because they're looking for something better. They're not necessarily thrown out of their country because of hunger. They're also looking for better life. So
Similar to what we have with the Venezuelans.
could be exactly similar. So the question with migration is obviously not something that we can solve now. But starting from that standpoint, that it's bigger than us, which is something that I think most people can agree on, I would say that it is something that cannot be solved on a country-by-country basis. It's because it's bigger than us, that's exactly where the UN comes in as a forum. I do believe strongly that if these issues are to be solved, they have to be solved collectively. Because if my country, for example, it's easier to talk about your own country. If my country, for example, wants to solve migration alone, it is simply impossible. We're on the way. So back to the layman's question, it's not our fault. Very good, but these people are here anyway. So this is where the UN helps. I wouldn't say that I'm certain that there is a key to success, but I would say that if an organization like the UN does not exist, where is the forum where the countries are going to talk about these things? The UN has created a basis of values, a basis for discussion that can solve, or that could solve this kind of huge issues.
But don't you feel that we can move beyond the words to actual actions and implementation? I mean, Haiti is a 10 million people, inhabitants, citizen country. It is the poorest country in the Americas. And I think it's like the 5th or 6th poorest country in the world right now.
One of the poorest, yes.
Correct. After the earthquake, we had a golden opportunity. The UN was there. Everyone was receiving them. Everyone was waiting for them to come. Why could they not implement direct actions that would transform this society so that 10 years later, we can look over and say, look, they have moved from not having a manufacturing sector, from not having an agricultural sector, from having ratios of children not going to schools, lack of hospitals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because it seems to me that it would be just a droplet from each country in the world if the United Nations had the leadership to actually work on it. So how come we cannot have that sort of leadership and use the Haitian example? I'm using this example in particular because something very, very significant happened. You know, the day of the 12th of January, which is actually my birthday, the 12th of January 2010, that earthquake changed Haiti. We have a before and we have an after. But the before was dire. The after is absolutely abominable. And I remember seeing Bill Clinton going to Davos, and at Davos saying, I need 50 new trucks right now that need to go to Haiti tomorrow. And I'm not leaving this room until you guys give me the money to take the trucks over. And somehow that money showed up. And I know the Clinton Foundation did things over there. They were later criticized, whatever. I'm not going to go into those details. But in general, it seems to me that with the UN leadership, it would be something extremely simple. And somehow the leadership of the UN always shows up only to tell us about where the new war is going to happen, you know, and how the countries that are going to fight in this war, how they should not fight at night and only fight in the daytime or something like that.
So your argument makes me think of something very, very similar. I would like to make a comparison. When a country doesn't work well, institutionally speaking,
yes, It's a failed
people-
state,
No,
basically.
but no, even before failure, even when a country doesn't work very well, people are unhappy. One of the main casualties of that unhappiness, or the main victims of that unhappiness, is very often what we hear in the street: democracy. So people
Yes.
will say, democracy doesn't work.
Or discourse.
Right.
Yeah.
The same happens with religion. When religious people, some, do something wrong, we say religion is not good. The problem is that democracy is not necessarily bad, religion is not necessarily bad, it's what people make out of it. Because these are systems. Democracy is a system. It works pretty well. You know the Churchill saying that it's the best,
It's the best.
excluding all the others.
Correct.
Very good, which actually means it's imperfect, but it's actually the best we found. I wouldn't want to paraphrase Churchill, but I would say as an idea that the UN is a bit similar. It's a system. It's an organization that exists there. What we make of it actually depends on the states, because you said UN leadership. The power of the UN compared to the power of the permanent members of the Security Council, as well as other states when they gather together, is very small in terms of political power. The UN is what the member states make of it, and that's where we come in to explain to people how it works, so that we can change it from bottom up. I'm not saying we are necessarily going to succeed in changing the whole of it, but it is a fact that the UN is, I would say, neither bad nor good if you take it as a system, exactly like democracy. It's a system for the world to come together, discuss, and obey to some rules of international relations. That's what the UN does. Now the rest, and Haiti, I don't think I would be, I don't think I could not recognize that, of course, there have been failures there. I'm not speaking for the UN, I'm not a UN officer myself, but I was an observer like you were. And I wish it had been done better. I remember very well, it was a very difficult thing to even watch. So I imagine when we are on the island, that must have been even harder. But this is what the states make of the UN. That's why people like you and me who are interested, who discuss now, our discussion can make things better, because we can make our states better in what they do inside this system. Exactly like democracy, the same thing.
Well, I know that the Dominican Republic is participating a lot more in the UN. Obviously, we are right now a temporary member of the Security Council. Let's hope that our authorities within the Security Council can actually, enforce and create enough waves so that in the Security Council, like you say, which is a probably more powerful institution than the actual UN, we can have more people pay attention to the dire situation in Haiti, because it's something that not only threatens the Dominican Republic balance and well-being, but it's actually proven to be an enormous stress on the rest of the Americas. We thank you for your time here. We hopefully, all our students at New Horizons will have an opportunity to participate in the programs that you're promoting, as well as students from other schools. Señora, como pudieron ver en esta entrevista nuestra con Aziel Filipos, es mucho el trabajo que todavía queda por delante para los organismos que trabajan de manera conjunta con las Naciones Unidas y que tratan de promover los valores de las Naciones Unidas. Nosotros como país también, y obviamente como centro educativo, queremos promover estos valores, y que sea a través del discurso y del debate democrático que vayamos construyendo una nación más equilibrada, una nación más justa y una nación más abierta a trabajar con el resto de las naciones del mundo. Como tenemos ahora mismo un asiento temporal en el Consejo de Seguridad de las Naciones Unidas, creo que nuestras autoridades tienen el poder relativo para ahora mismo poder exigir mucho más atención a estos casos que hemos estado debatiendo, sobre todo el caso de Haití, que para nosotros es un caso fundamental, por temas de medio ambiente, por temas de salud, por temas de desarrollo económico, obviamente por temas de educación, o sea, por temas de comercio, es nuestro segundo socio comercial. Nosotros tenemos que todos empujar para que Haití tenga una mejor calidad de vida, para que Haití progrese. Ya lo hemos dicho muchas veces acá en el programa, y si tenemos ese espacio en las Naciones Unidas, pues tenemos que exigirle a nuestras autoridades que nos están representando allá que también participen. Sigan disfrutando de más contenido acá en New Horizons Radio.
New Horizons Radio.